So my brother has type 1 diabetes. Funny story-ish that my brother was injecting and I did something to annoy him, as brothers do, and he squirted his insulin at me. And I turned to him and I said, "Don't squirt your insulin at me. I can produce my own, thanks." No word of a lie. 2 weeks later, I was on a plane back to the UK, diagnosed with type 1. When I was like 13 years old, I remember mum sitting with me beside the bed saying, "You're going to have to do this." And I remember just being really tearful. I think you have that moment of grief when you're diagnosed with a condition and like you remember so much of your past life. Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this, not going to be able to do that. I've always been really, really sporty. I just got on with it. And I kind of always said with type 1 diabetes, you control the condition, it doesn't control you. One of our first dates, but it was the first time I went back to hers. I remember waking up, it was like 2 a.m, and I didn't have any glucogel or anything. I was really starting to get a bit shaky at this point, so I was like, I'm in a house that I don't know. Went to the kitchen, scrambling through the cupboards, pulling out the drawers. There's no orange juice in the fridge. Looked in the freezer, and I was like, oh God.
Hi everyone, welcome to TypeCast, Life Between the Lines, a diabetes podcast that goes beyond the target glucose. I'm your host, Natalie Balmain, winner of Channel 4's Make Me Prime Minister, Omnipod Ambassador, and General Do-Gooder of Diabetes. Juggling the ups and downs of diabetes can be challenging, so I'm here to connect you to some real people with real stories who all have one thing in common: type 1 diabetes. We'll be talking to some amazing guests over the course of this series, sharing laughs, tears, insights, and inspirational stories. So whether you're a seasoned pro or newly diagnosed, I hope you enjoy the podcast. If you do, you can make sure to watch, download, listen, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, or your favorite podcast app. I hope you enjoy the show. TypeCast, the podcast, features real stories from real people living with diabetes. But of course, none of this should be taken as medical advice. Always seek advice from your diabetes specialist team before making any changes. Hi, Diabesties, and welcome to another episode of TypeCast, Life Between the Lines. I am super excited to introduce today's guest, who you may have seen hosting on BT Sport or Sky Travel, but is mostly known for his hilarious content creation and being one half of the Secret Life of Dads podcast. I'm really happy to introduce Matt Carter.
What an introduction!
Oh, thank
you so much. Did you say hilarious content maker?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, come on, you have me in stitches. I mean, I'm definitely going to be talking to you about this today. It's the living with type 1 and that amazing, beautiful optimism and...
Yeah, well, it is, like optimism is there 99% of the time. I mean, sometimes it is still pretty difficult.
Honest.
That's honest. Yeah.
Even in the difficult moments, I feel like you have a really nice optimistic take on
it. Most of the time. Do you know, actually, saying that, I had a bit of a one yesterday, so it was my daughter's first nativity, and on the way, I was running a little bit late, and I could see, I was sat at like a 5.2, and for anybody who lives with type 1 diabetes, you're like, for most people, like, that's great.
Yeah,
you're running. I was like, oh no. And then I checked my pockets as I went into the school and I was like, I don't have anything. And then for the entirety of the nativity, I couldn't focus on it. I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to go low and I'm going to go low.
No.
So anyway, that
ruined the nativity a bit.
Sorry, that's a very bleak start to the podcast.
No. Well, actually, to be fair, my dad didn't enjoy my first nativity either because I actually grew up in Birmingham. You can't tell anymore.
No.
My dad is from the northeast. And he said that my nativity, I think it was like nursery or kindergarten, was horrendous because it was basically 24 brummy children going, "Oh, why in a manger?" So, there you go. He didn't have a good one either.
My ears. Yeah.
Sorry, I can still pull it out when I need to. Yeah. Occasionally people come up to me and they go, I don't know, there must be one word. And I've had people go, "Are you from the Midlands?" And I go, "Can you hear that?"
Yeah, I get it. There's a twang.
There's
it.
something.
Yeah.
Something.
Absolutely get it.
Now it just sounds like I'm from Stoke because I've been in Manchester for 17 years. So it's like half Brummie, half Manc, which is Stoke.
I can hear you very clearly.
Thank you.
Very articulate.
Thank you. Well, so are you. And, I'm really excited to chat to you today because a lot of the time, being the researcher that I am, I know a lot about my guests before they come in, but with you, it's like a box of surprises. I know absolutely nothing. So tell me a little bit about where you grew up and...
Okay.
Yes.
Well, firstly, I just want to congratulate you on the podcast because this is amazing.
Thank
I think
you.
since I've been diagnosed, 24, 25 years now. And to think back to when I was first diagnosed, there was nothing like this at all.
No.
Nothing like this at all. So anyway, I grew up in North Wales. It's a lovely part of the world.
Britain, yeah.
Britain.
The Britain. I was
Wales
like,
in Britain?
Well, I was going to say lovely part of the country, but we're in England at the moment.
We
so,
are.
you know.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Lovely
grew up
part of the
there.
Britain.
Lovely part of the Britain. The Welsh are ready for that. So yeah, I grew up there. I was, my dad was forces, so we moved about all over the place.
Okay.
Started in Wales, went to Scotland, moved to Cyprus, and then back to England, back to Wales, and then
Wow.
I loved acting when I was a kid, so I
Yes.
really tried to give that a go, and then studied that at university, did a course out in LA, spent a bit of time there,
Nice.
came back to London, did it for a few years, really didn't enjoy it because I was getting rejected all the time.
That's my experience.
Type 1 diabetic ginger, just wasn't getting typecast into any roles.
Do you know, I once got rejected from a role where they wanted a girl to play a type 1 diabetic.
Shut up.
I know, and I got rejected from it.
Did they give the role to somebody who was diabetic?
No. And I was like,
That is the industry in a
I
nutshell.
could have actually like done an injection for you on
Yeah,
camera and everything.
exactly.
Like,
could have got some skin out and...
there you go. They missed out.
So yeah, I did a bit of that, but then, so I guess my diagnosis story. So
Yes, so
it's,
you would-
It's a funny one. Well, it's not really funny because I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. There's nothing funny about that. But so my brother has type 1 diabetes, and he was
Right.
diagnosed very young. So he was about 4 years old, and this was like back in the day where you just take 2 injections a day, like one in the morning, one in the
I have heard
evening.
about these days.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
sound
yeah.
terrifying.
Dinosaurs. So anyway, when we moved to Cyprus when I was young, I was must have been about 11. And it's a funny story-ish that my brother was injecting and I did something to annoy him, as brothers do.
Yeah.
And he squirted his insulin at me. And I turned to him and I said, "Don't squirt your insulin at me. I can produce my own, thanks." No word of a lie. 2 weeks later, I was on a plane back to the UK, diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Karma like a
For laughing at
no,
that.
it's okay.
You jinxed
My brother
yourself.
was like,
Yes, your brother's like,
Yeah, okay,
my
yeah.
plan worked perfectly.
so because he was diagnosed so young, his whole life has been type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
So it's all he's ever known. But because I was like 13, I was very aware of the impact that it had on... not
You
just
remember
his
life before?
Yeah, I remember life before, very vaguely, but I do. So, yeah, because of it was that moment, and then it changed. I remember sobbing when I was like 13 years old because I knew I had to inject myself. I remember Mum sitting with me beside the bed saying, "Look, you're going to have to do this," and I remember just being really tearful. And then after that, I think you have that moment of grief when you're diagnosed with a condition, and like you remember so much of your past life, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this, not going to be able to do that." And I've always been really, really sporty, and the thought of like not playing football anymore. But I just found a way. I just got on with it, and I kind of always said with type 1 diabetes, you control the condition; it doesn't control you.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that years and years ago, and it's always stuck in my head. And don't get me wrong, there's still days that I wake up and it's frustrating. It's like you've got to navigate this this thing of life, and you've got to do it with type 1 diabetes, and it can just be just an extra barrier sometimes. But equally now, because I guess similar to you do everything on autopilot, don't you? And you just get on with it. But there are still days, I know, I post a lot on socials and stuff, I guess, about like funny content and everything like that. But it is still with you 24/7.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, for me, the physical side of the condition has never really bothered me that much, like the injecting, the finger pricks. But it's the going to the nativity without any Haribo.
It's that mental
It's
load.
being on the train. What if the train, sorry, can I swear? Sorry, what if the train just...
We'll just bleep it out. We'll bleep it.
What if the train stops and breaks down and you don't have anything with you? And it's kind of like the internal dialogue. So there's living with the type 1 diabetes, and then there's living with the type 1 diabetes in your head as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
I
the
totally
constant
agree
story.
with that.
Constant story.
Yeah, because I know it never bothered me particularly, the injections or the finger pricks and things like that. I did just get on with that. But absolutely the mental load. And it's interesting because you talk then about grief, and that's certainly something that I went through. I was a bit older, so I was 20. So I really...
So you got through your teenage years without it?
Yeah. And I thought, like you do at 20, you think you've got it all figured out. Or I was just starting to, and like it was like, this is what my life is going to be like. And then it's like the rug was pulled from under me, like, yeah, no, it's not. But yeah, so that mental toll for a long time. But I always say now, I wish I could go back and talk to myself at that age and go, you know what, you've got no idea. Like, it is a struggle. But I always say, I feel like being diagnosed gave me a bigger purpose than what I'd imagined for myself at that point.
Totally. There is an element of when you do hard things, you also do the hard thing with type 1 diabetes.
Yes.
Like, you're controlling an organ. How mental is that? You are controlling an organ. Like, yeah, I can barely like wash my bed sheets, but I can control an organ. My wife will let you know that. So yeah, it is a lot, and it's a huge part of my life, your life, but it's not my whole life. Like, I don't let it be my sole identity. Most people don't actually know I have it.
Well, no, and that's the next thing. I sort of
drop my pants and stab myself in front of them, then they might know. But not pants, trousers. That'd be weird.
No, but I mean, we've both spent a lot of time in LA, so yeah, I do slip between saying the Americanisms and the Britishisms. I was on the phone to my dad the other day, and I was walking down the street, and I said sidewalk, and my dad scoffed at me.
Yeah, I would scoff at you for that as well.
I mean, but it was
disgusting.
I just had like 3 months in LA, and I came back and I said sidewalk, and my dad was like,
yeah. Put that in the trash can. Yeah,
in the trash can. Trash. So, like you said, though, not a lot of people necessarily would know because, you do so much more, and you post about so many amazing things. You post about your family life. Yeah,
so Aurelia, my daughter, she's very aware now that I have diabetes.
How old is she?
She's 3.5. So she's very sweet with it. I always have like some wine gums or something stored in the top cupboard, and she's very aware of where they are. But now she also knows that she goes like, "Can I have one of Daddy's snacks?" Daddy's snacks. I'm like, no, you can't have them. But every now and then, if she needs quieting down, I'll give her one of Daddy's snacks. But yeah, it's amazing. I think she's so aware of it. Like, she knows that I have something, which is really cool. I think giving her access to that knowledge and that information from an early time in her life. I'm hopeful that maybe in a decade, I mean, she might not even know that diabetes was a thing, the way things are going.
I know.
So fingers, toes, everything crossed. But then do you ever like think with the cure, like, what would life be like again? Like, just not having it.
I do think it would be.
Yeah, because there is part of me that's like, it is part of my identity now. It is part of who I am. So it would be like saying goodbye to that really annoying drunk mate.
I mean, it put me out of a career. I wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of don't want to let go of you, but you do sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do think it would be a really weird shift. And I know we're talking about all these sorts of, therapies and things that might be potential cures. And I think somebody said to me, one of the cell therapies, we don't know. It might only last you a year. Yeah. And I kind of went, well, actually, if I just had to go to the hospital once a year for an infusion and I could forget about it the rest of the year, I would skip to the hospital. I'd be like, I'd just make videos of me doing that. It's my annual trip to the hospital.
But you know what? Since I can remember, there's been like diabetes cures on the horizon.
5 to 10 years away.
Lady in the back end of China has been cured of diabetes. And I'm just like, but when it comes, it comes. Yeah,
no, exactly. I think one thing we can say about every type 1 is it does give you that sort of sense of stoicism, isn't it? We just get on with it.
Like resilience. I think that's hardship. I think it's a really important asset to have, and it gives you that, because if you don't work on it, we know like the impact of it. If you don't look after your control properly. I went for my eye screening a few weeks ago, and I took Chess to pick me up because I could never see afterwards.
No, it's horrid.
Pupils are massive.
And it was
stood at the train station, and you're like, I'm in Derby. I live in London. How have I got here?
Was it winter sun that day as well? I had winter sun, that low sun that was getting me right in the eyes, and I was like.
So she came with me, but it's the first that, like, I've had there's a slight bit of retinopathy there, and I've had it there for some time. But for me, like thought of something happening to my eyes is like that gives me the heebie-jeebies a bit.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's like you lose your sight. It's like, wow, that's a big change. So yeah, I guess I try and fitness. I'm pretty good with what I eat generally, but fitness for me and lifting in the gym, running. I actually had a message in my inbox the other day from Beyond Type 1.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think that was set up by Nick Jonas.
Yeah, well, it's in association with him.
They said that we've got a spot on the LA Marathon. Do you want to do it? So I'm doing that in March.
Nice, congratulations.
Cool. Thank you.
That is awesome.
So I'm going to start documenting that journey a little bit because I remember when I did the London Marathon, I didn't share so much of it, but there was definitely times when you're dealing with the highs and the lows, and for endurance events as well. If you've got to do a long run or something on your feet for a long day, there's always the fear of having a hypo. But I'll tell you what, when I ran London for Diabetes UK, it was one of the best days of my life. Amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. It was really cool. But I'll have to get my running shoes back on soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, that's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, I haven't done it yet. So
no, but getting in to do it and just, preparing yourself.
It's good. I think I saw a thing a few weeks ago about each year trying to do one big thing in your life. And that came up and I was like, that's great. I can do that in March and then I don't have to do anything else for the rest of the year. So get it in early. But again, doing anything like that, even if it's a 5K, if it's a park run, whatever it is, doing it, but then doing it with type 1 diabetes as well. It's an extra pound on the back. It's like £2.
Yeah. Actually, that's an analogy I use often when I do events and talk to people. Is that a lot of people say it is our superpower, but I always add in, what you've got to remember is we are doing all of the same things that able-bodied people are doing. We're running marathons, we're having families, we're just going about our days and doing our jobs. But we're doing it when we started the race 5 steps behind.
Exactly.
So how is that not a superpower?
Amen. Yeah. It is. I love that analogy, like starting 5 steps behind, because it's so true. But equally, I think you can change your mindset around that, because it's very easy, and I've done this before, to slip into the kind of mindset of, oh, this is going to hold me back on everything. Yeah. I'm always going to be a few steps behind everybody else. And it does go that way sometimes. There are some days, when you just wake up and you've got stuff to do and your levels are high, and it's easy to slip into that mindset. But I think equally, if you can turn that around and just put yourself on the same pedestal as everybody else, and then afterwards you say, yeah, I did what you did, but with type 1 diabetes. Yeah.
That's exactly what I said. I can
Not
do
that
it.
I gloat.
I can do anything you do, but I do it with type 1 diabetes.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think people can see it already. You have such an optimistic outlook, and that shines through in your content. And I know that you make content about your family, and you've talked about introducing type 1 to your daughter. Your wife is also a content creator.
She is, yeah. Big dog Chessie King.
Hey, shout out Chessie. Hi.
Somebody stopped me the other day. It was a few weeks ago. He said, "Oh my God, your wife is Chelsea King," and I was like, "No, she's not. Name's Chessie." But yeah, I just nodded. I was like, yeah, she is.
Did it feel like somebody was like saying, "Oh my God, you're Madonna's boyfriend"?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, do you know what Chess has been? She's so good because when you're with somebody, it is just like it's my condition, and I used to get very selfish around it.
The other people around you live with it too.
Everybody else has got to live with it.
Yeah.
So she kind of just knows if I've got to tap out and say, look, I just need a few minutes. I'm having a bit of a low here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
How did you first introduce it to her when you first met?
Got a funny story.
Okay.
Funny story about this. Okay, so one of our first dates is that, I mean, she knew that I had it, but it was the first time I went back to hers. And I remember waking up, it was like 2 a.m, and I didn't have any glucogel or anything. And I was like, oh God, I'm in a house that I don't know. Went to the kitchen, scrambling through the cupboards, pulling out the drawers. There's no orange juice in the fridge. Looked in the freezer, chocolate ice cream. There was half a pot of chocolate ice cream. And I was really starting to get a bit shaky at this point. So I was like, okay, got the chocolate. Don't know why I thought this was a good idea.
You're going to give yourself brain freeze.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I got a spoon. I didn't just eat it in the kitchen like a normal person. I took it back to the bedroom. Chess was still asleep. And then in my stay, I dropped half the chocolate ice cream in the bed. Ended up like around my shorts, everything like that. Woke up in the morning. Chess had thought I myself. She generally just saw brown smudge everywhere over my face. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Why would it be on your face?
I don't want the ice cream, hopefully nothing else. But I was just like, type 1 diabetes. But yeah, that was her first introduction to it. And we always laugh about it. Because,
that is brilliant.
Because it is funny. But I've always been like really honest with her about it. I found living with it in the first year of my daughter's life quite testing because your lack of sleep and everything just gets a bit more. But I think you've got to be just transparent with people about it and say, look, I might just need a few minutes here just to sort myself out. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I've surrendered to that there are still times where I do have hypos and it happens and I just need a few minutes. And also it's a great excuse for a timeout. If you've got a kid that's having a meltdown,
it's like, I can't deal with this right now.
My levels have
sorry.
crashed again.
You're giving it away. She knows now.
Yeah. Or my wife's talking about buying Christmas presents. I'm like, 3.2. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Yeah.
I mean, I've talked before about I use it as an excuse to get out of going to things if I don't want to go to them. I'm just like, oh, you know what? The old diabetes is playing up today.
I used to do that a lot. I've got a 3-year-old now. She'll get me out of a lot of things I don't want to go to. But diabetes, it's a good excuse. I mean,
we might as well get the most out of it.
Exactly.
That and sneaking food into festivals. When they open and they go, sorry, you can't bring that in here because they want you to pay £10 for a hot dog or something. I'm like, sorry, I have type 1. Do you want me to die in the queue while I'm queuing for your food? And they're like, take it.
I did something the other day. I was at the pump putting fuel in the car, and I shouldn't have done this. This was really bad. But I was checking the football score from last night, and I checked it, and I had a bang on the window. The guy was like, mate, you can't be on your phone. But I was putting fuel in the car, and I was like, yeah, of course. And then I came around, picked up some Haribos, and I was like, mate, I was having a hypo. And I felt really bad afterwards because that wasn't the truth at all. But there are so many times where I've just gone... And he was like, what are you talking about?
He's going to start letting people use their phone in the...
Yeah.
Someone might blow up the petrol station.
Yeah.
I nearly said gas station.
At the gas station. Yeah, get out of your head. But anyway, that was a bit of a white lie. I got out the petrol station. I said, why did I say that? It wasn't even true.
I mean, I use it if I'm like staying with family or stuff like that and they want to know why I'm just eating extra... dessert or some snacks or something. I'm just like, I'm just a bit low.
Just a bit low.
Well, they ask, they'll go, are you low, darling? I'm like, yeah.
What are you like when people ask you? Because I've always been quite defensive of my hypos. Maybe that's something that is a bit of my stubbornness around it. Because sometimes if I get asked by people like, you're right, Matt, how are you doing with that? I'm a bit like, I'm okay, I got this. Just give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll tell people I'm having hypos when I'm not. But when I actually am having a hypo.
Like at petrol stations.
Yeah, exactly. But when I actually am having a hypo, I don't know, there is something in it that's just kind of like, just get on with it. And people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, fine. I'm fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
It's like everything is on fire around you. I'm fine.
People describe a hypo and it's like the most, imagine being the most hangry version of yourself.
Yes.
But just sweating and you've been smacked around the face by Tyson Fury and it's just like, it's really hard. And you can't really compute it until you've had a hypo yourself. No. But yeah, I always get a little bit, I'm just like, look, it's me. And maybe it's hard to be open in those situations, though, isn't it?
I think
when
so.
Everything is a bit
And my brain is the first to go as well, so my brain's gone too much. But I think back sometimes about doing that exact thing, and I think it must be hilarious, actually, to my family looking back, because they're going, are you having a hypo? And I'm going, no. And there's like sweat dripping down my face. Yeah. My eyes have glassed over. I'm like, no.
I would love to watch a video back of all the stinking hypos I've had. Oh, God, I remember one where I fell off the table when I was like 18 and I had to go to hospital. I've only had like one really bad one. And I think I was going through like a bit of a body dysmorphia thing at the time. Like I wanted to lose loads of weight. Yeah. And my mum was like, you're not eating. And I remember just being at the breakfast table and I just slid off the table. Sorry, there's nothing funny about watching that back at all. What am I talking about? But I think
no context. Context. Just watching you slide off the table.
Yeah, just slide off the table.
Just add it into those no context Brits YouTube videos.
Yes, amen to that. But yeah, I think a video back of all my top 10 hypos of me. Yeah.
I mean, I had one once. Like my brain goes to mush, like I said, and for some reason, and I didn't realise I was doing it at the time, but remembered afterwards. I had a bag of M&Ms and I have no idea why, but I was just picking the blue ones out.
Really? Just the blue ones.
Just the blue ones, like only the blue ones were going to
more
save me.
Yeah.
They're more sugary. The blue ones are obviously more sugary than. Why? Why am I rooting through a bag of M&Ms to find the blue ones?
That is funny. But my brother, he had a couple of real big hypos.
Oof.
He doesn't mind me talking about it. I remember he fell down the stairs when we lived in Cyprus, and he used to do this like really scary like scream that he would do, and he did that a couple of times. And then he really didn't look after himself in his early 20s in London, and I had to take him to hospital. I remember calling the paramedic when we were living in our flat because he basically just kind of stopped taking his insulin, which was really scary. Like over a kind of a period of a few weeks, and he just went downhill, lost loads of weight. I remember making the call and then going to hospital with him, and it was pretty scary, pretty scary at one point. So there is always like the side of if you don't look after it and keep on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people can probably relate to that. I think, especially at that age, late teens, early 20s, it's a scary age.
Your hedonistic years, and you kind of want to get everything out of London. And but yeah, that moment I remember it so vividly. Like the paramedics coming up, just coming back home. He was on the sofa, and I was like, oh my god, like what has happened? And that's just weeks and weeks of not looking after yourself and not taking your insulin. Yeah. I
mean, I had a very similar sort of thing in my early 20s. Unfortunately for me, my diagnosis coincided with me being very early on in quite an emotionally abusive relationship with a guy who was constantly like making comments about my weight or how I looked and cheating with anything that moved and all the rest of it. And so I went through a period of diabulimia and intentionally not taking my insulin. And I think the thing that sort of clicked for me and when I turned it around was I started to get neuropathy in my feet.
Right.
And I would be asleep in the middle of the night, lying down, it's not like I've been walking up a great big hill, and my feet felt like I was walking over hot broken glass. And that was the point where I was like, this is not good.
Wow.
And the idea of like having to have an amputation or something like that, I just suddenly went, no, nothing is worth it.
It's really scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you went through that. That's really, really tough. I remember the diabulimia. The BBC did a really interesting documentary on it a few years ago, didn't they? About the world's most dangerous eating disorder.
It is, yeah. It didn't have a name actually when that's come much more recently. But when I was going through that, you were just a non-compliant type 1 diabetic. Yeah,
but seeing like what people are willing to put themselves through and what can happen, it's scary.
It is scary.
Yeah.
It is scary. But you know what? On that very unpositive note, I'm going to let us take a break, and we're going to cheer it up for the second half. We're going to bring some of that. We're going to bring some of that typical Matt back.
Petrol station band. We'll bring it back.
So don't go anywhere. I want you to cheer everyone up. Okay. All right, guys. We are going to take a short advert break, and then we will be back for part 2 with Matt. Now, as many of you may know, I also live with type 1 diabetes. I was diagnosed in 2007, age 20. For years after my diagnosis, I lived on multiple daily injections, and not always with the greatest success. I just didn't think there was a better way for me. Then in 2018, I discovered Omnipod, and what blew me away is the fact that it's tubeless. I'd always thought of pumps as having tubes, and that's really what put me off. It just all seemed like a bit too much to have something tubed attached to my body. Being on the Omnipod system has changed my life in so many ways. It's not just improved my diabetes management, but it's the headspace and the freedom that it's given me whilst allowing me to do that. Now you may think, this all sounds amazing, but what is it like in real life? What does it feel like to wear? How big is it? Will it stay on my body? Well, the good news is that Omnipod offer a free demo kit with a needle-free pod that allows you to try it at home. It doesn't deliver any insulin, but it allows you to try it out for size and see what it's like to wear an Omnipod in real life. If you'd like to order a demo kit, you can head to omnipod.com/typecast and get started today. Now, back to the show. Hi, Diabesties. Thank you for coming back, and welcome back to part 2 of today's episode with the lovely Matt Carter.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you,
Good
Matt.
break?
Yeah, it was a
Get
good,
up to much?
It was a good break, wasn't it? Yeah, we did loads, played a game of tennis.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like
Check
your
the levels, yeah.
that's like your video. We said things I can do while my wife's getting ready.
Oh, yeah, everything.
Do a bungee jump.
Do a marathon. Yeah, 2 marathons. Why do they take so long?
I love that video. That was brilliant. And I'll tell you which one I also enjoyed recently. I enjoyed your, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, famous, well-known supermarket video gift card, walking around with the gift card.
Yeah,
in the air.
I do very silly things on socials. Yeah, I don't really have a filter. I'll kind of do anything.
No,
yeah,
but
that's why I'm here today.
I love that. So I feel like the next part of the show should be pretty easy for you, because we like to do a slightly more light-hearted half.
Okay.
We've done the serious stuff.
Yep, the serious diabetes chat.
Yeah, the science bit.
I don't know how scientific I was. Yeah, pretending to myself. Yeah.
But like everyone who lives with type 1 knows, there are some funny times. So have you got any funny or embarrassing type? I mean, other than the.
Oh no, I feel like I've gone too early with that one. Which one? Oh, I feel like that's quite hard to beat.
Or something where it's gone wrong, maybe.
Do you know, I did throw up horrendously after the London Marathon because I did all the training and the prep with certain gels. And then on the day when you're running, somebody hands you a Lucozade gel and you're like, yeah. And then you get to the end of it and my body just went, what have you just done? That was mental.
Yikes.
And I couldn't really enjoy it. I was a bit all over the place. It's kind of diabetes related.
Yeah, I mean, no, it is.
Yeah.
It absolutely
All
is.
I'm talking about is throwing up and doing
things that come out of your body.
comes out each side of my body. I do have more depth to me than this. Yeah, my daughter will watch this back one day. I'm so proud of Daddy. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to change your podcast to Secret Life of Embarrassing Dads.
Yes, that's a much better name. That's giving me an idea for a video.
There you go.
That's really good. What are things? Not really. I've always been even quite conscious of it, like when I've been drunk and things like that, kind of going through the uni days and everything like that. There's never been any disaster stories.
You see, I'm not actually a big drinker.
Yeah.
I drink very occasionally. I don't know if that is what you define a binge drinker as, somebody who never drinks
that's how
and
Brits do it.
then go on a night out.
But
I
Christmas,
remember
20 pints.
So I didn't learn really about how to deal with drinking, and especially different types of drinks. So I remember it was my 30th, so it was like, just over 9 years since I'd been diagnosed. So you'd have thought I would have learned in this time, but I didn't. And I went out for my 30th and had a porn star martinis, which are just really sugary. I mean, it's just drinking sugar. And so at some point in the night, I end up having to go to the toilet and be really sick. But of course, nobody paid any attention or was concerned about my blood sugars because they just thought she's had too much to drink.
When you do drink, are you I'll just ride the high out kind of person for the night, or are you I can't let myself get high?
No, see, I made this mistake the other night actually, and I don't drink often, but I went out for some food and drinks and I got back and I was high and I just let my pump do the correction that it thought for being high, and what I should have done is reduced it a little bit because I knew what was coming. Alcohol, but I didn't. I let it give me the correct. So I do correct, and then I regret it later because I have a hypo.
Yeah, I'm normally pretty good at keeping on top of it. Like I do enjoy.
I just need more practice. I just need to drink more.
Yeah, I'll give you some tips. Not saying like I'm a big drinker, but no, I love Guinness. Guinness is like my drink.
A roast dinner in a glass.
Roast dinner. Sorry, what?
Roast dinner in a glass of Guinness.
Oh right.
It's just so like I don't begin it
with your roast dinner.
Actually, that's another funny, totally unrelated to type 1 story. Years ago, when I was about 14 or 15, I had my tongue pierced.
Yeah.
And your tongue swells up. And I couldn't eat anything. And my stepmom, bless her, shout out stepmom, the family were having a roast dinner.
Yeah.
And she actually got everything from the roast dinner, meat, potatoes, gravy, everything with some water in a blender and blended it. And I literally did have a liquid roast dinner.
Wow. I remember when I first started dating Chess, she put tofu in a blender at one point, and I was like, that is grim. That is grim. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of blending tofu or roast dinners. Yeah.
I mean, I
Not for me.
thought it was all right. Maybe
Each to their own.
give it a
Yeah.
All right. Well, the fun doesn't stop there, Matt, because if you look in front of you, there are a few pieces of card. You will notice. Yes, please do pick them up. They are in the correct order already.
I hope so. Okay.
You will notice that these cards, each one is double-sided.
Right.
What I would like you to do, I'm going to ask you some quick-fire questions. If you could please, this is your camera here. If you could please hold your answer up to the camera and also say it, because we have people who are just on Spotify and
Got it.
music. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to start you off easy.
Okay.
MDI or pump?
MDI.
Yes, because you are
There
an
we go.
MDI. There we go. Done.
Yeah,
Done.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
CGM or finger pricks?
CGM.
Yes. Okay, look, we're racing through
Yeah, yeah.
these. This is a hypo-related one. Sweets or juice?
All sweets.
Oh, I mean, it's a nice excuse to have sweets. Isn't
Yeah,
it, really?
it is. It is. Yeah, it's great.
Okay,
There we go.
social media one for you. Insta or TikTok?
Oh, Insta.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm a bit 50-50, yeah.
yeah, no, I
Insta.
prefer Insta. I don't like that TikTok shows you people that you don't follow. It's just a constant, your feed is just a constant thing of like,
Instagram does that as
and
well.
I made the mistake recently of liking a video. It's, you know, those videos of like Americans trying British food.
I can imagine it.
Yeah, and now my whole thing is just videos of Americans
Do you
trying
know, I
British
saw this
food.
thing recently that there's so many Americans going to like tourist, like really good restaurants in London, and loads of Londoners don't like it. So they're going to a place like Angus Steakhouse and saying, best steakhouse in London. I loved that. I howled at that. I was like, I love Londoners.
That's genius.
Yeah. McDonald's, best place in London.
I mean, to be fair, they might think that because you must know this. British McDonald's is way better than American McDonald's.
Do you know what? My wife just doesn't eat McDonald's, so I haven't had a Mackie D's in a long time.
I tried American
my soul.
McDonald's once,
Yeah.
and it was the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten.
Really?
Yeah. Do not recommend.
No, thank you. Well, that said massage then.
Okay, call or message? Not massage.
Oh, cool.
You like to talk
Yeah,
to people.
I think it's nice to talk to people. Yeah. We spend too much time WhatsApping, iMessaging. It's nice to speak to somebody.
You could
on
bring
the
back
phone.
the old BT ads. It's good to talk.
We could. Good to
There you go.
talk.
There you go. All right, eat in or dine out?
Dine out.
Oh, you like to go out.
Yeah.
Where's your favourite place to go out for dinner?
Angus Steakhouse.
I set myself
We went
up.
to Dans Le Noir. Have you been to this restaurant in London where it's completely pitch black? Completely pitch black. Like it's like a darkness you can't even imagine, like quite a scary darkness. And the whole thing is that when you go and have the food, it's supposed to like elevate your taste buds. But I was just walking into walls and stuff.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, like, for somebody with a big gob like me, I surprisingly miss my mouth often enough as it is. So I feel like I'm just going
got
to
to sign
end up
something before you go in
with more food down me than in my mouth.
Not saying like I go to Dans Le Noir every week. I don't, but it's a good experience.
It's the reason that I didn't ever like Hollister. I'm like, why would anyone want to buy
I
clothes in the
remember
dark?
that.
I want to be able
That's
to see the
size-
clothes
what is
before I
that? Yeah.
buy them. Like, I don't get it.
I wanted a large.
Is this because your
extra
clothes
small.
are crap? Like, I don't get it. All right, this one is pizza related. Pizza, worth it or never?
Never. I'm not a massive pizza eater. And people really struggle with their levels with pizza, don't they? That's
They
like
do.
the big
That's the
thing.
thing.
People
It's complex carbs. You
maybe
kind of have-
because I never eat it. That's why.
You kind of have to like bolus like some of it up front, and then
and
remember
then later,
to bolus the rest.
tell
of
you
it
what,
later.
naan bread is my killer. Like I cannot. Like
Can't
if I
get it
have
right.
that, it's a night of death. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah.
Okay, calculate or guesstimate.
Guesstimate. I just have a sense of what it is. I think after years and years of getting it wrong. No, after years I think of just doing it.
Do
I
you eat
know.
the same foods regularly though? Does that?
No, mine changes up quite a lot.
Okay.
I know my control is good. It could be better and exceptional, but I'm happy with it being pretty good. Yeah. I've got just enough balance with it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, look, literally, life goes wrong sometimes.
Exactly.
That's it.
I won't be saying that if I lose a foot.
Take it on the chin. Okay, beach holiday or ski trip?
Oh, ski trip.
Oh, are you a skier or a snowboarder?
I'm a skier.
Oh,
yeah.
Very flat. I could see you like James Bond skiing.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, we'll get you.
Can we get an edit of that, please? Of me
Absolutely.
just,
We're
like,
putting it out there now.
Yeah.
Matt Carter is the new James Bond. Okay, rom-com or horror?
Rom-com.
Yeah, we love a
I do
good
enjoy a rom-com. Yeah, I'm quite soppy. I think as I become a dad, I'm much more emotional as well. Like we really did gymnastics for the first time a few weeks ago, and just before she ran up to the bar, she did this, like really determined, and I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, that's so emotional. Like she's either going to shit herself or jump on that bar. So yeah, it's strange. That's what happens.
We've talked about pooing your pants far too many times for one podcast
lots
episode.
of beeping on this podcast. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I think it makes it more funny. There'll be bits where it's just like beep, 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 beep. Yeah. Okay, this one is to do with your CGM readings. Do you share or do you go solo?
I go solo.
Oh, you like to keep it yourself.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
Who would you share with if you were going to share?
That's maybe a bit of a fib. I mean, I share them on socials.
Okay.
When generally they're bad. I tend to share them when they're a bit higher or when they're a bit lower, because if you're having a bad day and somebody just puts perfect diabetic scores up, you're like,
so irritating.
Go away, you're annoying.
Yeah, I'm like beep off.
Yeah. Just trying to double check if I shared good results of mine recently, but no.
Yeah, no, I don't share when they're good.
No,
I don't really I don't really take pictures. I've said this, but I do talk about it. I like to openly talk about when they're not good.
Yeah, exactly. I think it breaks down some barriers for people and just makes it realize that you are human as well.
There's a nice quote. It's that you don't inspire people with perfection. You inspire people with how you deal with imperfection.
Ooh, I like that.
There you go.
That is like the most Instagram-y quote I've ever heard, but I like it. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. Marcus Aurelius would be proud of that one. So yeah, that was great.
All right. Last one. Thank you for being a good sport. HbA1c or time in range?
Oh, HbA1c.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an overview of.
You don't feel like it's like taking an exam. I always get really nervous about my.
No, I feel like I've been diabetic so long that I don't really. And because of the tech these days, you can equally keep an eye out on which way your HbA1c is going. But maybe 10 years ago, it was that exam feeling, wasn't it?
I think because I have access. Well, we all have access to our time in range. I'm like casual about it. I'm like, time in range. But I still get that same thing when they're about to tell me my HbA1c result. That I'm like, oh, you're gonna tell me.
Knees weak, arms are sweaty. Like,
yeah.
Arms are sweaty, palms are sweaty. What am I talking about? I've got sweaty arms. Eminem will not be coming to me for a record.
Oh dear, no, that's it. You're out the band.
Sweaty arm Matt and his bad diabetic levels. There we go.
Oh, Matt, thank you so much for today.
You.
Honestly, I don't think I've stopped laughing the whole way through, and I know that our audience are going to have absolutely loved watching you. So if anybody out there doesn't follow you already, where can they find you on socials?
You can find me on Matthew L. Carter. I am just one T in Matthew. And people wonder about that, but it's like it's a Welsh thing. Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did think that was a Welsh.
Thought you would.
Love that.
And then I also do The Secret Life of Dads, which is a really kind of amazing community that we've built just for dads to understand what it is to be a father in 2024. Just because I think it's a generation now where dads are spending three times more the amount of time with their children than our generation. So it's navigating that and everything that comes with it. And also, but thank you so much for having me. I think this is a really amazing thing that you're doing, and there's an amazing type 1 diabetes community out there, and this is serving them and some. So keep doing the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your story with everybody as well.
You, some of them. We do some editing on this, please. Yeah.
Okay, Matt, and before I let you go, we always like to finish these shows on a positive note. Yeah, you can blame the producers for that one. Sorry.
Yeah. You're paying somebody for that.
I think maybe they should get a decrease, not a rise for that one. No, sorry, Becky. So, do you have any wise words, motivational quotes, or advice maybe that you would like to share with the community?
So a few years ago, I did a type 1 event with a lady called Anita Beckwith, who's the lead dietitian for diabetes at King's College London. And we had this room, there was 60, 70 people with type 1 diabetes. A lot of them were mums and dads and, friends of people living with the condition. And I remember Anita at one point just turned to everybody, and this is her area of expertise, and she just said, look, you just need to get it right 60% of the time. And there was this moment, the whole room just like, and the parents, they kind of just went, oh my God, thank God for that. Because I think, and sometimes this is maybe the downfall of tech, it gives us so much, but equally you can get quite addicted to it, and you can kind of see when you're going up, you can see when you're going down. And ever since that moment, that idea of that you just need to get it right about 60% of the time, don't look for perfect readings all the time, because it's going to fluctuate all the time. I think that really helped. It helped me, and it helped all the people in the room. And I still get messages to this day from people who say, look, that really helped me.
That is really solid advice. I think it's the combination of tech, isn't it? And maybe social media as well. Exactly. This like expectation that everything has to be perfect and curated, and and it's just not reality. And
absolutely, like the information overload as well can be our downfall sometimes. So 60% of the time, if you do that, I think you're onto a winner.
I think that's amazing advice. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And guys, if you have enjoyed watching the hilarious Matt today, then make sure you hit that subscribe button for more content, because we have episodes out every week. And if you would like to share any funny Matt-style stories with us, please do get in touch with us on our socials. And you never know, we might read one or two out. And until next time, guys, keep laughing, because you got to, haven't you?